industrialization. Let's start with the clothing paradox. To survive sub-zero winds, you need armor, but you can't just drape a dead bear over your shoulders and call it a day. Raw animal hide is a biological death trap. It's heavy, it's wet, and in sub-zero temperatures, it freezes solid within minutes. Wearing untreated fur in the Ice Age is basically putting on a coffin made of ice. You die of hypothermia while wearing the exact thing that was supposed to save you. To make leather wearable, you have to tan it. You have to break down the tough collagen fibers. But ancient humans didn't have chemical factories. They had their mouths. In 2012, researchers analyzed Paleolithic dental remains. What they found was the brutal authority layer of our survival. Your ancestors didn't just use their teeth to eat, they used them as factory machinery. For 16 hours a day, every day, men and women would sit in the freezing wind, aggressively chewing on raw, bloody animal skins. The enzymes in human saliva broke down the fibers. The mechanical crushing of their jaws softened the leather. Archaeologists call this wear pattern analysis. We call it paying for your clothes with your own skeleton. Teeth were worn down to the exposed nerve from a lifetime of chewing leather. Every bite was agonizing, but it was a simple trade. You chew until your mouth bleeds, or your children freeze to death tonight. But clothes weren't enough. The freezing wind pulls moisture directly through your pores, cracking your skin until it splits open. In the Ice Age, an open wound isn't an inconvenience, it's an invitation for infection. The solution? Animal fat. Lots of it. Your ancestors would scoop raw gray marrow and yellow fat from the bones of dead animals and smear it in thick, suffocating layers over their faces, hands, and bodies. It was the original waterproofing. It created a literal lipid seal between your blood and the frozen air. The downside? You smelled like a walking, rotting corpse. You were essentially marinating yourself in a world ruled by giant, hungry predators, short-faced bears and cave lions that could smell rotting meat from miles away. Every night was a gamble. Wash off the fat and freeze to death, or keep the fat and hope the thing growling in the dark isn't hungry enough to come inside. Which brings us to the shelter. You find a cave. Great, but a cave is not a home. A cave is a giant rock refrigerator. You build a fire, but in a massive stone chamber, the heat vanishes into the ceiling almost instantly. To survive the night, humans had to use the only other heat source available: each other. They had to abandon the concept of personal space. Tribes of 20 or 30 people would huddle together in a single massive tangled body of bodies. You slept face to face. You breathed in the exhausted, humid air of 30 other lungs. You smelled their old sweat, their blood, and the rotting animal fat on their skin for months. If you slept on the inside of the pile, you suffocated. If you slept on the outside of the pile, you died. And then there was the psychological toll. For 6 months of the year, humans were trapped in near total darkness. They couldn't hunt, they couldn't forage, they just sat in the dark, hungry, waiting for the sun to come back. Today, millions of people suffer from seasonal affective disorder. When winter comes, you feel lethargic, depressed, and you just want to stay in bed and eat carbs. We treat it like a modern mental illness. It's not. It is an evolutionary mismatch. Your brain is running ancient software. That depression, that lethargy, that is your body's hibernation protocol. 20,000 years ago, if you were energetic and hyperactive in the middle of winter, you burned too many calories and you starved. Evolution programmed you to shut down, feel miserable, and save energy. The humans who got depressed in winter survived. The happy ones died. This is the behavioral sink of the modern era. You live in a temperature-controlled box. You live in God's pantry, but your brain doesn't know that. Every time you step into a warm house and complain that your feet are a little chilly, remember the jawbones in the dirt. Remember the ancestor who chewed on frozen skin just so your bloodline wouldn't end in an ice block. You are the star of your own movie, but you've forgotten the opening scene. You aren't failing to be tough. You are a biological success story whose environment has changed too fast. You can stay trapped in the illusion of modern comfort, or you can acknowledge the violent coincidence of your survival. One requires nothing, the other requires everything.